What happens when the perfect life isn't enough? Millie has it all: luxury, love, and a devoted husband. But something is missing. Enter Earl, a personal trainer who ignites a fire within her that she can't ignore. Dive into this tantalizing tale of desire and deception and see how far Millie is willing to go to feel truly alive. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping stories to the world around me, my family, my friends, my husband. I appeared to be the perfect woman, the wife every man dreams of. Elegant, poised, effortlessly composed. Our life seemed ideal, at least on the surface. We had a beautiful house in Los Angeles, extravagant vacations, and a closet overflowing with designer dresses. Every need was taken care of before I even had to speak because my husband, Matthew, adored me. He was everything a woman could want: successful, generous, devoted. A typical wealthy, privileged man used to getting whatever he desired. And what he wanted was me, his prized possession, his stunning wife, the woman he lavished with love and attention. He made sure I had everything: luxurious gifts, lavish date nights, spa days at the most exclusive resorts. When I told him I was passionate about fitness, he immediately arranged the best trainers, the finest gym memberships, the best of everything. "You deserve it, baby," he would say, pressing a kiss to my forehead, as if I was something fragile. "Whatever makes you happy." But that was the issue. Despite all his affection, despite the perfect life he had built for me, I wasn't happy. Our love was safe, comfortable, predictable, and predictability was slowly suffocating me. I knew exactly how our evenings would unfold. He would take me to a top-tier restaurant, order the finest wine, hold my hand across the table like the devoted husband he was. He would tell me I was the most beautiful woman in the room, remind me that he loved me more than anything. And I would smile, saying all the right things. Then we'd go home, and if he touched me, it was always gentle, careful, always the same. He treated me like something delicate, something to be cherished. But I didn't want to be cherished. I wanted to be consumed. I longed for something raw, something that would make my heart race. I wanted something that didn't feel like a scripted love story. I wanted danger. I didn't realize how much I craved it or how much of myself I had locked away until I stepped into that gym a year ago. At first, it was just a way to kill time, an excuse to escape the routine of my perfect life, something physical to focus on, to feel again. I threw myself into fitness, into sculpting my body to perfection, into pushing myself harder than I ever had before. Matthew loved it. He admired my dedication, told me how sexy I looked in my gym clothes, how proud he was that I took such good care of myself. When I mentioned I wanted to start personal training sessions, he smiled, pulled out his credit card, and booked the best. "If you're going to do it, you should have someone who knows what they're doing," he had said, ever the provider. "Get someone who will challenge you." I don't think he realized just how much I was about to be challenged, because that's when I met him. But that part of the story would unfold later. For now, all I knew was that I was on the verge of something that would change everything, and I had no intention of stopping it. The first time I saw him, I knew my life was about to change. I had arrived early at the gym, as usual, dressed in sleek black leggings and a fitted top that hugged my body perfectly. I had no expectations, just another session, another routine, another distraction from the predictable rhythm of my life. And then he walked in, tall, massive, with a presence so commanding that it felt as though the room itself shrank around him. He wasn't just muscular, he was sculpted, every inch of him radiating raw strength. His skin was dark, smooth, glistening under the soft gym lights. Broad shoulders, powerful arms, a chest so solid it seemed carved from stone, and those eyes, dark, intense, locked on me. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as he strolled toward me, his movements slow, unhurried, exuding an effortless confidence. He didn't have to try, he was power itself. "You must be Millie," he said, his voice deep and smooth, the kind that wrapped around my skin and sent a shiver down my spine. I nodded, forcing a polite smile. And you must be Earl. He tilted his head slightly, a smirk playing at his lips, a mix of knowing and teasing. That's me. He extended a hand, and when I placed mine in his, the heat from his palm sent an unexpected jolt through me. His grip was firm, strong, completely engulfing my hand. His thumb brushed slightly against my skin as he pulled away. It should have been nothing, but it wasn't. I felt it. He felt it. Something unspoken passed between us in that single touch, something dangerous, something inevitable. But I wasn't ready to admit it. Not yet. Let's get started, he said, his voice lowering slightly as he gestured toward the weights. Just like that, the session began. He was professional, focused, but every movement, every touch, every correction in my posture sent a slow, burning heat through me. His hands on my waist as he adjusted my stance, the brush of his fingers along my lower back as he guided me into position. The way his body moved so close to mine, the scent of him, clean, masculine, intoxicating, filling my senses. Those eyes watched me, tracking every movement, every breath. I was aware of him in a way I had never been aware of anyone before. It was electric. And then, halfway through the session, it happened. I had just finished a set of squats when I turned a little too quickly, a little too eagerly, and suddenly I was pressed against him. My hands landing on his chest, solid and unyielding. My breath caught in my throat. His hands instinctively found my waist, steadying me, his fingers tightening for just a moment, just long enough. The world slowed. I looked up. He looked down. Neither of us moved. The heat between us thickened, heavy, suffocating. I should have stepped back. I should have laughed it off, apologized, done something to break the moment. But I didn't, and neither did he. His fingers flexed slightly against my waist. His breath was warm against my skin. I could feel his raw strength, the power, the tension just beneath the surface. And then, just as suddenly as it had happened, he let go. I stepped back, heart pounding, face flushed, pretending nothing had occurred. But it had, and we both knew it. The rest of the session was a blur. I went through the motions, pretending to focus, but my mind was elsewhere. On the way his touch had lingered, on the way his body had felt against mine. By the time the session ended, I was breathless, not just from the workout, but from him. Earl smirked slightly as I grabbed my water bottle, his voice smooth as he said, "Same time next week?" I hesitated for just a second, then nodded. "Yeah," I murmured. Same time. I turned to leave, my legs still shaky, my pulse still racing. And as I walked out of the gym, I knew the next time would be far more interesting. The days leading up to my next session felt different. I went through my usual routine, waking up in silk sheets, having coffee in the sunlit kitchen of our modern home, kissing my husband on the cheek before he left for work. Everything looked the same, but I wasn't. Something had shifted inside me, something I couldn't ignore. My body remembered Earl's touch, even if it had been brief. It lingered on my skin, in my thoughts, in the restless way I moved through my days. I lay awake at night, replaying that moment over and over in my mind. By the time I walked into the gym for my second session, my heart was already racing. And then I saw him. Earl stood by the weight rack, his enormous frame impossible to overlook. He wore a tight black compression shirt that hugged every muscle, accentuating his broad shoulders, chiseled arms, and the raw strength of his chest. His shorts hung low on his hips, his legs thick and powerful, pure athleticism in every inch of him. He turned as I neared, his dark eyes locking with mine. The same tension from before crackled in the air between us. "Millie," he said, his voice low and smooth. I swallowed hard, forcing a casual smile. "Earl," I replied. He didn't smile back, but instead studied me, his gaze lingering longer than necessary, as if searching for something, perhaps confirmation that I had been thinking about him as much as he had been thinking about me. Then, just like that, the session began. But this time it was different. Every touch lingered. His hands guided my movements, adjusting my form, his fingers pressing a little firmer into my hips, my back, my thighs. Each time his body brushed against mine, heat spread under my skin, making my breath quicken and my heart race. I wasn't imagining it. I knew it was intentional. When he whispered, "Breathe, Millie," his voice thick with something more than just instruction, I shivered. And then came the moment that changed everything. I was on the bench, gripping the barbell above me, my muscles burning from the previous set. Earl stood behind me, spotting me, his body close. Too close. "Last set," he murmured. I exhaled, pushing through as my arms trembled with the effort. "That's it," he said, his voice rough and deeper now. I cracked the weight, my chest rising and falling quickly, my pulse racing. Then his hands slid down my arms, slow and deliberate, tracing the path of tension I had just worked through. "You feel that?" he asked, his fingers brushing over my biceps down to my wrists. I could barely breathe. He wasn't supposed to touch me like this, but I didn't stop him. "Yeah," I whispered. His hands tightened slightly. "You like it, don't you?" he asked. I sucked in a breath. "God, yes," I nodded. And that was all it took. One moment I was sitting there, my skin tingling from his touch. The next, I was on my feet, backing up toward the trainer's lounge wall. My body moved before my mind could catch up. Earl followed slowly, calculating, his eyes dark with something primal. I hit the wall and he reached me, the air thick and heavy between us. My chest rose and fell, my breath uneven as he loomed over me, his hands bracing on either side of my head. "You know this can't stop now," he murmured. I knew, but I didn't care. I reached up, my fingers trailing over his jaw, feeling the heat of his skin. His muscles tensed under my touch, his body rigid, controlled, barely controlled. And then he broke. His mouth crashed against mine, rough and hungry. His hands gripped my waist, pulling me against him. I gasped into the kiss, my body sparking under the sheer force of him, the way he took me without hesitation. My hands roamed over his chest, feeling the raw power beneath his shirt. My fingers curled into the fabric as his grip tightened on my hips, lifting me slightly, pressing me deeper into the wall. And I let him, because I had craved this. The kiss deepened, desperate now. Our bodies moved in sync, the heat building between us like a fire I never wanted to put out. Then, footsteps, voices. Reality hit us like a bucket of ice water. We broke apart, breathing heavily, our bodies still too close. Earl's fingers brushed over my waist, his touch lingering. "Millie," he said. I shook my head, my chest heaving. "Not here." A smirk tugged at his lips. "Then where?" I exhaled slowly, already knowing the answer. "Tonight, after my session, I'll come to you." His eyes darkened. Good. I turned, my legs still shaky, my heart pounding in my chest. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but one thing was certain. I wasn't stopping now. That night, I told my husband I was meeting a friend for dinner after the gym. He didn't question it. Why would he? In his world, I was the devoted wife, the woman who had everything and needed nothing more. But I needed this. When I entered the gym for my evening session, my body was already burning. I moved through my workout in a haze, my mind somewhere else, anticipation building deep inside me. Earl was there, watching, tracking every movement. He didn't touch me this time, didn't linger like before. He didn't need to because we both knew what was coming. By the time I left, my body thrummed with something hotter than adrenaline. I slid into my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, pulse hammering. My phone buzzed with a message from Earl. "You remember?" I exhaled slowly, my fingers trembling slightly as I typed back, "Yes." The drive felt longer than it was. Each red light, each turn, each mile passing only added to the tension, winding me tighter and tighter. When I finally pulled up to his building, my breath came in quick, shallow bursts. I stepped out, smoothing my dress, my skin heated from more than just the night air. The entrance was quiet, discreet. I walked inside, my heels clicking against the tiles, my heart beat louder than anything else. The elevator ride felt suffocating. My reflection in the mirrored walls showed flushed cheeks, parted lips, eyes dark with something I could no longer contain, reminding me of where I was headed, of what was about to happen. When the doors slid open, Earl was waiting. His frame filled the doorway, his dark skin gleaming under the soft lighting. He had changed. Sweatpants hung low on his hips, his upper body bare, muscles carved with precision, tattoos standing out against his smooth skin. For a second, I could only stare. "Come inside," he said with a smirk. I stepped forward, the door shutting behind me, closing out the world. The air between us was thick, suffocating. I swallowed, my fingers twitching at my sides, my entire body vibrating with awareness. Earl moved first, one step, then another. I didn't retreat. I didn't want to. His hands gripped my waist, pulling me toward him. My breath caught as my palms pressed against his chest, feeling the warmth, the firmness, the strength beneath his skin. "You're trembling," he murmured. I exhaled shakily. "No, I'm not." He chuckled, his breath warm on my lips. "Liar." Then his mouth was on mine. The kiss wasn't like before, not controlled or careful. It was intense, deep, and filled with hunger. His hands roamed across my back, his grip tightening, pulling me closer. His body was solid and unwavering. I moaned into the kiss, my fingers tangling in his hair, my body pressing into him as if it had no say in the matter, and it didn't. I wanted this. Earl lifted me effortlessly, his strength sending a thrill through me as my legs wrapped around his waist. My back hit the wall and his body pressed against mine, his heat sinking into my skin, making my head spin. I gasped as his lips trailed down my neck, his stubble rough against my skin, his mouth leaving a burning trail wherever it touched. My hands gripped his shoulders, nails digging in as he claimed me, as if he had waited just as long for this as I had, and maybe he had. Maybe this had been inevitable. I tilted my head back, surrendering to the feeling, my breath coming in shallow gasps. "Say it," Earl murmured against my throat. "Say what?" He lifted his head, his dark eyes locking onto mine, his fingers tightening on my hips. "That you want this?" I swallowed hard, my whole body shaking, my heart racing. "I want this," I whispered. His smirk deepened, satisfaction flickering across his face. "Good." Then he carried me, his grip firm, his pace steady as though he had all the time in the world to ruin me. And I let him because I had never wanted anything more. Earl moved through the dimly lit apartment with ease, as if I weighed nothing. His grip remained firm, and his pace unhurried. My breath came in shallow gasps, my body reacting to every shift, every touch, every whisper of heat between us. When we reached his bedroom, he pressed me against the doorframe, his dark eyes fixed on mine, his chest rising and falling heavily. My fingers curled against his skin, my entire body humming with anticipation, with need. "You knew this would happen," he murmured, his voice rough, teasing. I swallowed again, my lips still tingling from his kiss. "Yes." His smirk grew, deepening. "And you still came." I exhaled sharply as his hands slid down my thighs, possessive and heated. I couldn't stop myself. "Good," he muttered. "Because neither could I." Then his lips crashed against mine once more and everything else faded away. The weight of reality, the consequences, the life I had left, waiting outside this apartment. It all vanished beneath the force of him, his strength, his control, his undeniable power. My fingers tangled in his hair, my body arching into his as he claimed me with a hunger that mirrored my own. His hands moved with purpose, sliding over my waist, my back, gripping, teasing, taking. I gasped as he lifted me again, my legs wrapping around his waist. My breath caught as he carried me toward the bed, his body unyielding, the sheer power of him making my head spin, my pulse race. I had never felt so small, so completely owned. And I loved it. The world outside ceased to exist. There was only this, only him, only the fire consuming us both, burning away every last bit of restraint I had left. And I surrendered to it fully. I don't know how long I lay there afterward, my body still humming, my skin still burning where he had touched me. My breath steadied, my pulse slowed, but the fire inside me had not gone out. I turned my head slightly, my gaze drifting to the man beside me. Earl lay on his back, one arm draped over his forehead, his chest rising and falling with deep, even breaths. He was beautiful, not in the polished, effortless way my husband was, not like a man who had grown up with privilege, who never had to fight for anything. No, Earl was different. He was raw, powerful, real, and I needed that. I needed him. A slow smirk tugged at his lips as he turned his head, his dark eyes meeting mine. "You're staring," I smirked back. "I have every reason to." His deep chuckle sent a thrill through me. He reached out, his fingers trailing lazily over my hip, sending another spark of heat through my already sensitive skin. "You're going to be thinking about this for a long time," he murmured. I exhaled shakily, my body betraying me once again. "You have no idea." His smirk widened, his fingers pressing against my skin. "Oh, I think I do." And he was right. As much as I wanted to stay, as much as I wanted to lose myself in this again, I knew I had to leave eventually. I sighed, forcing myself to sit up, my legs still trembling slightly. I reached for my phone, my fingers hovering over the screen. A single message from my husband. "Hope you had a great time with your friend. Can't wait to see you." A slow, almost amused smile spread across my lips. Earl sat up beside me, glancing at the message before returning his gaze to my face. "You're going to tell him?" I let out a soft, breathy laugh, shaking my head. "Never. Because this wasn't something I would ever confess. This was mine, my secret, my escape, my proof that I wasn't just some perfect, polished trophy wife." As I stood, adjusting my dress, smoothing my hair, and slipping my heels back on, I felt no regret. Not even a little. I glanced back at Earl one last time, my smirk matching his. "This won't be the last time," I murmured. His dark eyes burned into mine, his smirk widening. "I know." I grabbed my purse, my heart still pounding, my body still thrumming with everything that had just happened. I walked out the door, knowing that no matter how perfect my life seemed from the outside, no matter how devoted my husband was, no matter how many gifts, vacations, and luxuries he showered me with, I would be back. I had finally tasted something real, and there was no way I could ever stop now. The drive home was a blur, my body still pulsing with the memory of Earl, his touch, his scent, the raw power of him. Every red light, every stretch of empty road only gave me more time to feel it, to let it settle into my skin. I rolled down the window, letting the cool night air rush in, but it did nothing to extinguish the fire still burning inside me. When I finally pulled into the driveway, the house was dark except for the soft glow from the kitchen. My husband was waiting. I took a slow breath, fixing my hair in the rearview mirror, smoothing my dress. The thrill of what I had just done still coursed through me, a wicked secret hiding beneath my calm, composed expression. I entered the room, taking off my heels at the door. Matthew looked up from his laptop, a glass of wine next to him, his face brightening when he saw me. "Hey, baby," he greeted, his voice warm and comforting. "How was your night?" I smiled as I walked over and placed a gentle kiss on his cheek. "It was nice. We just talked, caught up on things." I lied smoothly, effortlessly, the lie flowing perfectly. He reached for my hand, giving it a tender squeeze. "I'm glad. You deserve to have some fun." I nodded, a sense of amusement curling inside me. If only he knew. If only he could see me. Truly see me. The way Earl had. The way I had seen myself tonight. But he didn't, and that was what made it so simple. "I'm exhausted," I murmured, stretching slightly. "I think I'll head to bed." Matthew smiled. "Of course, I'll be up soon." I nodded and turned, walking upstairs, my pulse still racing with something dark, something electric. When I shut the bedroom door behind me, I exhaled deeply, my fingers brushing my lips, my body still aching in the most satisfying way. Then I reached for my phone. One unread message, "Earl. You're thinking about me right now, aren't you?" A slow, satisfied smile spread across my face. Of course I was.